That's right. We are back inside the Matrix. Matrix? V-Respawn is back. That's all you need to know. We're talking about a lot of FPS games. I'm PooNanners, your Texas caster and hype master, joined as always by my better half, StealthShampoo, fresh back from TwitchCon.
I had to come home. Unfortunately, you guys saw Hasko drove a tank through my last set. It's still under repair, so we are back in the old green screen office and back from TwitchCon, which was like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, you've been all over the place. I mean, you showed up to OC5, then you were in that studio out in was it
Splitverse in Missouri?
And then, and then you're at TwitchCon. You're just all over the place. You've had a busy year.
Yeah, a lot going on. Trying to get my name out there. Trying to get people to pay me because I'm almost done with college.
The thing is, you could get your name out there if you stopped changing it.
That's true. PooNanners does not approve of the fact that I'm DJ Nicky.
And then it's DJ Nicky. I was like, pick a name.
It's just DJ Nick and StealthShampoo.
Did you think I wanted my name to be PooNanners? That's just the name that started getting popular, so I stuck with it.
Yeah, StealthShampoo's been going on for a long time.
Oh yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Well, we're going to get into these games. Some we know very well. Some of the V-Respawn members know. Some of them we don't know at all because we're not able to get as much information out of the devs as we wanted to. But we're laying them out for you. You've got 10 VR FPS games that are either already out, have new DLC, have just recently released, are currently in alpha, beta, open betas, closed betas, all across the board. Everybody vying to be the next VR FPS, riding, for lack of a better term, on the coattails and success of Onward and to some extent also Pavlov, which is also a successful game. So those guys, they were the independents, the guys that just said, hey, I don't care what you say about your artificial locomotion rules. I'm making a shooter that gives me what I want. And everybody loved it. Everybody had VR legs anyway.
Oh, the first VR game I actually ever booted up was Audio Shield, and then after that was Onward. And Onward made me sick to my stomach after 10 minutes playing, and now I play anything like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So
I remember it was one of my first heavy purchases too, and I was like, all right, this is going to be the game. And I played it a lot, but I've always played local. Like I never played online. And I learned from a lot of the other players that the way you get good is playing online. As one of the players recently said, he's also a caster, he said, if you're not losing, you're not learning.
Yeah, pretty much. You got to be working on your shot. You got to be getting destroyed so you can just copy what good people are doing.
Well, speaking of...
shoutouts to those games.
Speaking of good people... Yeah, no, let's get into the first game, Contractors. Now, Contractors, I had heard about it. We were given some keys and we were playing it. But then Rage Sack of Beat Saber as Darth Maul fame, and also a guy who plays a lot of VR FPSs like Standout, and is even a admin for Onward, he direct messaged me as soon as he played this game. He's like, this is the game. You need to play this game. This is the best VR FPS game there is. And I think it's because it addresses all of his concerns. Like he wants very serious gunplay, wants the guns to work, wants to be able to dial in the gun exactly so it matches up with where his hands are on his Pro Tube. So there's a lot of things that he likes about this game. Have you had a chance to try it, Nikki?
Oh, yeah. I have wandered around the lobby a little bit. There is a really in-depth customization system when it comes to the weapons and gadgets. There are over 20 different weapons and gadgets. And they kind of have this, it's like a Call of Duty Pick 10 system where you get this amount of points. And then if you want a super fancy sight, that's going to cost a lot of points. If you don't go with a sight, then you have more points to take grenades. So if you have just a really basic gun and a pistol, you can run around with a bunch of flashbangs and smokes and normal frag grenades. Or you can give up your grenades and stack up your weapon with a suppressor, a holographic sight. You can take a big magazine, a very effective submachine gun, my favorite, the P90. And there are also sidearms, revolvers, lots of different customization in the game, which I think is its biggest draw because every game handles customization differently. Probably more similar to Onward, where Pavlov does the whole economy system, and you're not really dedicated to a weapon. You're more trying to play with the money that you have instead of loadout points.
Yeah, and they're just getting started. They got 4 optimized multiplayer maps. I'm sure they have more coming. The game just came out like not even a week ago, and they're still looking for people to play, so come and join in the game. In the description below for most of these games, we're going to have their Steam or Oculus page or their Discord listed below, so you can get to any of those communities if you want to check out those games and get in on the ones that are already out, the ones that are in beta, alpha. It'll all be there. So I'm saying it this one time so I don't have to say it later. But one thing we're going to do right now is let's give you a look at the trailer for Contractors. So looking really good, contractors. Got that Unreal Engine, got those shaders going, got a lot of the textures from the Asset Factory there. We did recognize a lot of those.
I totally noticed that. I wasn't going to say anything, but 1,000%.
It wasn't too bad. There was a lot of games that we saw where they would just stick to a very small section of the asset, or open assets that they have out there, and it would just get kind of monotonous. Like, I recognize all this, and they did a good job mixing it up. You got to do what you got to do to get a game out fast if you don't own an entire art department.
They got a lower budget.
Yeah.
You take what you buildings, get. Well, straight up, you can tell that was from PUBG.
As I've heard people say, and as I even heard you say recently, you cannot expect to make more than 300,000 off of a VR game. So you have got to do what you got to do.
During my panel. I said that during my panel at TwitchCon, and I verified it. I did not pull that number out of nowhere.
No, I remember hearing it before. I remember hearing people talk about that before. So when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's right. I heard the same thing. Well, moving on to the next game. Contractors is not one that I am super excited about. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with it. It's just not one that I'm really a big fan of just yet. RageSack is the big fan there, so he's the channel to check out on Twitter in order to get his opinion on it. As it picks up, we may check it out more, but we only have room for so many games, and our biases in games are very obvious. We're very outspoken about them. Speaking of biases in games, Echo Combat would be the one as the
best game on the list.
Long-time Echo player, and Nikki played Echo for a little while and immediately thought, I want a gun. And so did like 80% of the initial Echo Arena community. It was like, can I have guns, please? So they said, okay, right. We saw that at OC4, the keynote. They were just like, all right, and we're going to make Echo Combat. I turned to Ready at Dawn. They're like, yeah, this is the first time we heard of this too. So they had to kick it out really fast. It was really good. Got to play it during the beta. We got to play some of the new stuff during E3. Got to play it a little bit more during OC4, and they officially decided to move the player-on-player count to 4v4, which I thought was a good idea. The more players, the better.
Yeah.
What makes these long-standing games that we all know and love fun, like your Quake, your Halo, your TF2, your Unreal Tournament, it's that you have a bunch of players against each other, not just 4v4. I mean, CS:GO has like staying power with its tiny 5v5s and what have you, but it's not that. I mean, it's still at the end it comes down to like pro players. It's not as fun as the 8v8 and 16 versus 16, even 32 versus 32 days that we have with games like Call of Duty and Battlefield. So we want
over in Echo Combat, that new map is totally made for 4 people. You can tell some of the early maps, maybe they were thinking of 3v3, but the new big capture map, I think it's called Dyson. That map is huge, and I don't see how 3 people could really work there. But they added a lot of new stuff, like the phase. So they add a 4th item to each category.
I saw the phase, but I was disappointed that you weren't invisible. I was hoping you would be invisible.
Yeah, you're not actually purely invisible. But what you can do, and I've been doing this to new players, is you phase in from super far away with your shotgun, of course. Then you can grab onto them and then use your right touch to spin around them as you shotgun them, because they can't hit you as you approach. The phase is cool. I thought I wouldn't like it, but on the map Dyson, which is super big, it's useful there. Then there's the Healy disc, which I thought, okay, I don't ever
use that a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to not run heals. So if I'm taking phase and I'll take a Healy disc, I've been playing with Nerd Burglar and Kaz. I've saved Nerd a couple times with that thing. It's really cool to use because you throw out a grenade, but it's like you get that clutch heal in on your teammate so he can win the firefight from like around a corner or something. The Healy nade is dope. And then I actually called the 4th weapon. It's a rocket launcher, and it can 2-shot you if it directly hits. So that thing is fat and slow and easy to dodge, but it hits real hard.
Hits like a truck. Well, Nerd and Kaz also created their own V-Respawn team that they entered into Discord Cup, and I think they came in 7th place, so they didn't do too bad.
Out of how many? 8? I know they won the first round.
Oh, no, there was a bunch of people in the Discord Cup. They did quite well. Oh, yeah, there was a ton.
I was gone that day.
I remember the list. It was like 18 teams or something. It was a lot of teams. Because there were a lot of people coming from the other VR FPS games, like Armored Global Kim had a freaking team in it. There were a lot of people trying to get in there to prove what they had. And what was funny was like Eclipse played with everybody, iShiny included. So they had
Palador. They had the full Eclipse team.
That's actually what the name was called, Total Eclipse. So it was iShiny, Palador, Lemming, and Simeon, and they destroyed everybody, including the devs. The devs started their own team as well. And that was the team that ended up beating V Respawn out, was the developer team. That's what knocked them down.
Oh, that's really funny because we played. It was me, Kaznaz, Nerd, and then one of Kaznaz or Nerd's friends, and we went up against the devs and we beat them in that round. So then they lost to me and they lost against the devs.
Definitely, you're a really good player, and I think they had to just pick up a random fourth. So if you were playing on their team, they probably would have placed higher. I don't think you would have beaten the. I noticed when I'm looking.
I probably would have beat Eclipse.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I noticed when looking at
so
the
much better.
leadings. That's why I looked at the leaderboards, and it was the exact same thing I predicted early on. As I said, the guys who have better movement are going to beat the guys who have better aiming and better strategy at first, because it's like the other guys, for lack of a better term, are walking versus the guys who can run.
Yeah.
And that's a very simplified way to say it. Really what it is, if you ever played UT2K4 is a good example of this, that game had heavy movement mechanics where you could dodge off of walls and double jump, where you can make your guy almost impossible to hit. And if you were good at that, people just couldn't hit you. And it didn't matter if you couldn't aim, you just get in their face with the shotgun and finish them, because all the sniping in the world cannot stop somebody who moves like that. And if you know how to move, so you're not, like I saw in some of your videos where you're killing people, they're just floating. They're just like out there just floating randomly. I was like, no, you do not float. You climb everywhere in that game. You only float if you have to.
Use your little handsies, which is why I think they added the rocket launcher into the game to counter the whole like grabbing onto a wall and then skittering around trying not to get hit.
Splash damage.
Yeah, so that's
which is literally the only gun I would use in my kind of games. Is what I do is I move very fast and rush you with the rocket launcher and try to get us both killed, because I'm not doing my team any good. But if I could take out the top player in your team, then my team can move forward. That's how I've always played. Oh, anyway, let's take a look at the trailer they put together for Echo Combat.
Fly free in 0G. Soar into co-op action. Blue squad, ready. Orange squad, ready. Unleash your arsenal. And make magnificent mayhem. Echo Combat. Available November 15th.
So a lot of games coming out on the 15th, right? Popular release date just in time for the holidays. And people are out playing it now and having a good time and leveling up and getting ready for the eventual addition to the league. It is you're playing it on your Switch, right?
No, Pokemon came out on the 15th.
There's that too. Yes, I saw that. I saw you streaming that. So this is
16.
Yeah. This is the Echo Combat's gonna be one of the big ones. We're looking forward to it. It's a AAA game produced by Oculus Studios. Definitely is going to end up being in the season 3, assuming we have a season 3, which I think we will. So people are getting ready, and if you want to get into this game, you've got to get into it quick. Hasko actually gave us a little note. She said she loves the movement in Echo VR, so do we all, and that this is her greatest strength in the game. So she was able to get in there and have fun in public matches. Now, at first, they had a little bit of trouble with the MMR, as you had disparate people where the MMR was all reset for everybody because your beta didn't really matter. But it started to adjust, I think, a few days in, and people started reporting they were getting better matchups. I still think they need bots to even out the ranks, but I know making bots work in Echo is very hard. Even though they all are bots.
The Echo bots are bots.
Well,
this game is fantastic.
Moving on to another fantastic game with bots, Oval. Now, this game has actually been out for a bit, and last I had heard, and that they had just released some new maps, and that's where people started talking about it again. I mean, it's early access, obviously, so they're still working on the game, but in its current state, they have a unique sickness-free locomotion, as they say. I think the locomotion in this game is not all that different from Sprint Vector, except for that you're constantly sliding, and you got like a little jetpack motion. A lot of us who played it reminded us of Tribes and Tribes 2 back in the day. They have a multiplayer level editor so that you can, have fun and make your own levels if you want. They have 3 different ability trees you can run down. They have 6 different weapons, 3 official maps, in-game voice chat, which is absolutely necessary for VR games. And they have bots for all their maps. so that you can have other things to shoot while you're trying to get into multiplayer games, which I think is absolutely necessary.
That's a great
because
idea.
sometimes you just won't find people on, and you got to keep it going. And you don't want to shoot bots for the entirety of your ownership of a game, but it's a good place to start.
I mean, it'll keep me from refunding it immediately for not finding anyone online. So this game, like we were saying earlier, sprint vector with guns. I want guns added to everything. Echo Arena, now it needs guns. Sprint Vector, now it needs guns. And this is as close as we'll ever get to Oval because Servios, I know, is moving over to arcade titles.
Yeah.
Sprint Vectors.
So they have this community-driven project called Meaning, where people are taking the level editor and the community are going to create their own maps and they're going to vote on it. And the best community maps are going to be selected as official maps. The developer interaction on their Discord channel is very good. It's just like we get with Echo and some of the other VR games where the developers communicate with you very strongly. So be sure to check out their Discord channel and their game on their Steam page that we'll have linked below, because their game is in a free weekend starting just a couple days ago. So like all the way through the Thanksgiving weekend, this game will be free for you to check out. So if you're a fan of Tribes, or if you're a fan of the sprint vector motion and you just want to kill things while moving like that, this is the game to check out. Let's take a look at their trailer. Now, the kind of speed and high-flying action of that game definitely fits to my kind of style. I like a game that is more about how moving so fast that it doesn't play up to people who snipe. They got to get right in your face. They got to outthink you and then kill you. Which is why I keep bringing up UT2K4 as one of my favorite games. TF2 didn't have as high a movement mechanic to it, but still, you were pretty quick. And that's because that comes from like those Quake and Doom days, all about moving fast. All the games everybody's just too slow now. I don't like it. That's why I like Pop 1 and Echo Combat, because I can at least climb as fast as I can go. I don't have something holding me back.
Oh,
but
yeah, you got the long arms too.
Yeah. So, well, moving on to the next game. Speaking of Population 1. Now, we have cleared everything we were going to say about this game from Kyle. So do not fret, those of you who are in the closed beta. Anybody who wants to get in the closed beta, we will have that link to the Discord and how to join that beta below, or the website and where you can join the beta below. So that way you can get in on this. We're growing every time we get into a new closed beta. There's more people there. I'm pretty sure we're not going to have one this Thanksgiving day.
Oh yeah, we're not running one coming up. But I have been in almost every single one of these, exceptions being for like TwitchCon and OC5. I have been playing this game. I look at my Steam hours and I'm like, wow, if you put in an hour or two, as many times as I have, we're already racking up some hours on this game. This is so good. I actually wanted to add something that we didn't even have on the list that I just remembered. Big Box VR, this is public. They announced this November 8th, secured $5 million in a seed funding round.
I
don't know what that means, but they got a lot of money.
Seed money. So, Servios, when they first got started, they were kind of running on empty, and then their investors, I think, raised, it was $40 million, like a pretty decent amount when they got done. But when they got started, like, they didn't have much. And it's just like Big Box was doing here, but people are seeing the product, and that's how much they are believing in it by dropping that $5 million. And that $5 million is going to do a lot to get them the artwork that they need. Like, the art they have is pretty good. I think they have some canned assets. I'm not entirely sure if we're even allowed to say that, what you can see in the picture. But some of the stuff looked familiar. But I know that this money will allow them to get the artwork they need. They do say that there's a whole art pass that they want to do in order to tighten up the game. So I can't wait to see what they come up with. I've said a lot of things that I've wanted. Other players have said. Rage Sack has said how they want to change the guns. A lot of the Globo Kim guys have had changes for guns. Me, the thing I like about it is that I have kind of my echo movement. I can climb literally any surface as fast as I want to climb it. I can put my arms out and I can fly and get to where I need to go. I told them I want the ability to dive bomb, and if I dive bomb a high enough height, I can stun players around me, really use that mechanic. And I want way more stuff up in the air for me to use to hide behind and jump around to make the game more vertical than it is horizontal, because if you have that space, use it and make the game like really force you to three-dimensionally play, because a lot of people are looking in this range, and you got to make people just like their head, they're not just doing this, they're doing this as they're looking everywhere, because it could come from any direction. I think that'll make it really fun, and we're already talking about the different things that we want in this game, and an excitement to actually include it in one of the major leagues. So I mean, it's a lot of people are excited about this, as evidenced by that round of seed funding. So it's a large-scale battle royale, as we said. We have I've pitched different ideas about like how to actually get points in a pro game, but we'll save that for another day. The devs keep running onto it pretty hard. Shout out to Kyle for him and his team working really hard. Storm holding down the community as everybody tries to get this game off the ground, and they're doing really good. Like it's the game, even when it just got started, was really good, and they're just like iterating, optimizing, rapid prototyping. It looks really good. The build mechanic that's in it makes it very much like Fortnite to some degree.
You play defensively. If someone starts sniping at me and they miss the shot, they don't get a second shot because I'm just going to place a wall in their way.
I don't just do that. Like I'll dunk. It's like, because in any of these kind of battle royale games, if you dunk on a fool, his friend or somebody nearby is coming at you. So what I do is I dunk on a fool, take his crap, I pull out my build gun, and I fire it behind me while I'm beelining it for something to run up. And I'll hear him shooting at me, but I just have like a ton of walls that I can't even see. I'm just pointing my hand behind me, building walls as I'm running away.
Oh, yeah. If you're a fast builder, I mean, you see it in Fortnite also. Your defensive capabilities are so much better than someone who can't build. And you can climb that stuff too. You can climb literally anything in this game.
Dude, so you see the windmills? The windmills spin. And
I was going to mention this, but yeah.
I see a lot of people climb to the top of the windmill, like manually. I climb halfway up to the windmill and then reach out and grab it and ride it to the top.
Yeah, so people will hide behind those windmill blades. You got to look up and check everything. We're talking trees, rooftops, windmills, everything.
That's good stuff, man. Let's take a look at the video. So let's look at Population 1. It's a little bit as they'll give you. We probably gave you a little more than we should, but it's all right. No one watches. But still,
Second best game on this list.
Yes, definitely. One of the games that we're both looking forward to, as we said early on, and as we say every time we talk to, is Population 1 and Echo Combat are definitely the top dogs that we're looking at, the ones that feel the most polished, that people are the most excited about, and that we can't stop playing. However, these other guys that are up and coming, that are still working on what they're doing, they have a lot of things that are fun about them. Like Oval, we really like the movement mechanic that's in it. Rage Sack is a big fan of what Contractors done with their guns and customization. And Skyfront, which is the next game we're talking about, is another one that's actually very interesting. Kind of a grappling hook, like a zero gravity grappling hook flying kind of game. It's an interesting movement mechanic, and it combines that thing that I like, which is very complex movement mechanics. So you don't just have aim, you have like a whole other level of thing that you need to be able to do.
Yeah, you got to be able to aim and shoot in this game. And the movement is a little bit different in that I like to think of it as Echo Combat's in space. Skyfront is more like in an atmosphere on Earth. I don't know canonically where it takes place, but you have a jet in one hand and then you have a gun. You can swap guns or you can use two jets. But you also have like this whip where you can Spider-Man style quickly change direction. So you have your jet and you're flying at a constant speed, or you can take both out and fly a little faster. And if I need to make a hard turn because I'm about to get hit in the face with a rocket, then you have that whip, which can pull you in a complete different direction. So that makes the movement not only high skill by knowing where to fly and knowing how to dodge, but also then you have that bailout mechanic, or you can use it to approach someone. And then there's a bunch of different swapping you can do. You'll have a jet in one hand, and then you'll notice, oh, I got the jump on this guy. I don't need to get any closer. Then you quickly swap to a gun, and then you try to gun him down. Then his teammates notice you, so then you swap back to the jets and you whip out. There's a lot of swapping and micromanagement with the different weapons. and different movement in this game. Definitely one of the more high skill VR games on our list.
Yeah, indeed, and it's very fun. I like the idea. Though the whole time I saw the grappling hook mechanic, I was like,
oh yeah,
Echo Combat needs a grappling hook. That's literally all I could think.
Yeah, but, just put everything in Echo Combat.
Their maps are very pretty. They got 2 different game types, 2 different maps, 5 weapons. As you mentioned, you can actually swap stuff out on your hands in order to figure out how you want to mix and match things. They have private room functionality, 5 special abilities, including like a shield and a shockwave. So that's 1 more special ability than Echo Combat. They've got a bot shootout and in-game voice chat, which is actually necessary. The game is out in early access right now for $19.99. And when the game is when it's supposed to come out, they're planning on having 5 game modes, including deathmatch, 3v3 elimination, and capture the flag. The capture the flag will actually be really fun in this game. They're planning on having between 5 and 6 maps, 20 weapons, a lot more special abilities, progression system, customizable characters, play against AI feature, and an additional single player content. So they're planning on giving you like a full-fledged game, like really heavy on the content. So they have a very ambitious what they have planned here. So let's take a look at their trailer. They put a lot of work into that game, and it shows. It's a very exciting and fun game to play. I recommend it for anybody who wants to give it a try. But they're, like I said, they're not going to just stop at the multiplayer content. You can play against bots, and they're also going to add single-player content. So it's going to be a full-fledged game, unlike a lot of the VR FPS games that are coming out that are going to be multiplayer only. And in a world where we don't have that many VR FPS players, and we don't have a large enough community to keep the servers stocked at all times, that is going to be absolutely necessary and a very fun thing for them to add to that game.
Isn't that right? The unspoken single player. They added it later on, and it is very useful. Speaking of non-single player games, though, this game, well, actually, it's an arcade game, so we're not the designated audience for this. But I imagine at arcades, a lot of people come in and play by themselves.
It's in Steam as well, but it was just arcades. VR arcades was what they were telling me was their target market. They want other people to play it at home, but the idea was that they wanted to make it as simple as possible to play. They had noticed that people wanted a VR FPS, but they'd be turned off by how difficult it was to play, to get in to begin with. Like Onward was too difficult, or the gunplay was too difficult for them. They try to greatly simplify it so the game focuses on arcade FPS action that puts you into the game, and you just get in and naturally know what to do. That was these guys' focus, and I think that's what we're going to see through this Tumblr of VR FPS games, that a lot of people are going to experiment and find some new best practices, and emerging from it is going to become like an amalgamation game that's going to like contain all the things. But I like what they're doing here, and they reached out to me and actually asked me to do the voiceover for this trailer that they put out. And what's funny about it is I gave them like a whole bunch of different takes so that they could decide which one they wanted to use, and this is what they went with.
Dropping bodies. Don't worry, boys. I'm going to get all of them. All day long, he's bringing the pain. This man's a quick-scope army all by himself. Man, he is on a roll. Knife attack. Gonna go knives if he's got to. Line it up. Quick scope. Give me another quick scope, baby. Double time. You have got to leave some for the rest of us. It's like a one-man army. Oh, man. When you put your head in the game, you could do anything.
Man,
Yeah,
the thing
yeah,
is with
yeah.
games like Echo Combat is it's a fantastic game, but you're not picking that up and not getting motion sickness or learning that on your first try. I noticed they have a laser sight on pretty much
Mhm.
every single weapon in that game. I was watching this girl who clearly wasn't from America. She was European or something where guns aren't plentiful here in the land of the free. We got them everywhere. So she didn't know how to aim down, line up a foresight and a
Mhm.
front sight. So a laser sight, like if you're playing with like a kid or something, just point the laser at the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see the accessibility of this game. They're trying
That's
to
the
do
market it's
something
made
that the
for.
other games
It's
aren't.
the Call of Duty of VR FPS games.
Oh yeah. Oh man, COD is such an easy game, man. We've been
It's
playing
Rambo
that
game.
nonstop.
They also have an interesting turning mechanic that Chris, our producer, wrote in here. He said they implemented a new mechanic they haven't seen where it allows for accelerated turning while the grip is held, which accelerates the character's ability to turn around so you can flip around very quickly. So that might be a little bit of adjusting your settings for fine tuning if you need to quickly turn around in case someone's shooting at you. It'd be an interesting to see how it goes. As always, links are in the description down below so you can learn more about this game. Moving
You sound like
on.
a YouTuber.
Yeah,
like,
right.
subscribe.
Links in the description down below. Like and subscribe, guys. Moving on to the next
that,
game, Warzone. Warzone is a game I do not know a lot about. I have not played any of it. We are, depending on everyone else to tell us, it's currently in beta. The beta started on October 31st, so not even a month ago. But you could join on the Discord to learn more about this game. Have you had a chance to check it out? Stuff?
I know literally nothing about this game, but boy, am I not going to pretend like I do because I literally don't know anything about this game. They're in closed beta. I think some other V Respawn guys are in on it, but we're not because I'm playing Echo Combat right now.
But we're telling you about all these games so you can get into them first. So be sure to check those links and you can get yourself into the beta. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Bravo, request permission to engage enemy paratroopers and attempt to snatch a grid pop by uniform 259er 119er break. Enemy is unaware of our presence at this time. Over.
There's a war coming.
So actually, I have no idea what was
That
going
was
on
official.
there.
Yeah, that looks pretty official. There's no gameplay there, but we know that there's a war coming.
I know it's a game.
That's all I got.
But that doesn't say much. Be sure to get in the beta and take a look. Give us some feedback. Hit us up on Twitter and let us know what this game is all about. We're come here to let you know all the games that are available. So that's just part of our job. The other job is playing them, but we just did not have any time. Oh, too much population one in Echo Combat. But
Yep, that's all I
moving
did.
on to a game we have played, War Dust. Now, Nikki's not a big fan of the bugs in the game, as you know. It
man,
is.
this game's buggy.
Yeah. It was it's an early access now, I think, right? They moved out of beta to early access, did they?
It is the earliest access beta that I've ever played. I was talking about it on my TwitchCon panel.
I saw.
Where pro players, I
What
don't
was
know
the
if they're
word
still
y'all
doing
used?
this.
It was a
What?
word I'd not heard before. Like
For War Dust?
Cruxy or Bucky or
I have no idea what you're trying to pronounce.
there's a way to describe that it was buggy, but
Buggy?
yeah, but you
Maybe
described,
Pokelaws was probably
Po-
the one who said something about it.
yeah, you used some word I'd not heard before. But yeah, I mean it's got a lot of bugs in it because it is an independent
Ooh, it's
team.
crazy.
It is an independent team, as you can see. This thing looks a little familiar. But yeah. So,
This thing.
yeah.
I can
so
point
there-
at it.
There, yeah. Sorry, I was pointing at my mouse, but I forgot that my mouse wasn't actually on screen. Anyway, so but yeah, I mean they're using a lot of assets. It's a small team that they had an idea, and what they wanted to do is they wanted to do like a big map, 32 versus 32, which is very hard to do in VR FPS games, and it sometimes works. But they also have vehicular combat and combined with VR FPS combat, which is really fun. That's Battlefield style. That's what we want to see. The vehicles do sort of drive weird.
And
but,
fly.
and the flying is very
Not just
weird.
the helicopters. I'm not just talking about the ones that are supposed to fly.
No. It's very, very strange. However, it is incredibly fun for the people that can play it for the fun that it is. and really get an idea of how to play this game. Hasco actually recorded 2 videos of it. She's been having a hell of a time playing it, and
Hasco
making a
plays
lot
so
of
much this
friends.
game.
Oh yeah, because it's just a lot of fun. That's it's back to that thing I was telling you about. What makes a VR FPS game fun for me is when it's so many people that you're not going to have to worry about a team being stacked by people constantly playing private, and that there's always moments, and that the map is so big, and that there's so much going on, that there's all kinds of silly moments for you to have, and that's what makes a game fun. People forget, in the end, the video game is supposed to be fun. So
It's
let's
casual,
take a
like
look.
Battlefield.
Yeah, exactly. Battlefield. Let's take a look. Battlefield. Take all the fun out of the game. Let's take a look at their trailer, and then we're gonna follow it up with some gameplay by Hasco.
Well, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they are scared. Okay. All over the place.
Yep.
They're everywhere. Oh my goodness, there's like 20 of them. Did you see this? I just ran over 7 in a row.
Defend the control point.
Nice.
I don't even know about
I
it.
love it. The tank. That's captured. Yes, I am serious. Alright, I'm in Ridge of Charlie now. Let's see if I can parachute. Let's see if I can parachute down there really quick. Yep, in Ridge of Charlie now. I'm gonna go ahead and flank them. I'm flanking them on Delta side. They have no idea I'm coming in.
There was some frantic action going on over there. Now, we also saw there's some videos that Hasco has been posting, and she had one where there were guys that built themselves a fort with like sandbags, and no one can get in, and she just swings around the back side, because I think there's a climbing mechanic in this game or something, and she just
and that's
used
how
her
people
Echo
fly
Arena
across
skills.
the map.
Yeah. And so that's where she's been owning a lot of people, is using her Echo Arena skills more or less for movement. And you're seeing that as people are adding that to these FPS games, where they're adding that kind of stellar Echo Arena movement, that the people who are just used to shooting are kind of getting swamped by it. They're not ready for it. It's good stuff.
Oh yeah, I was saying on my panel, you can climb up a lamppost and then parachute off of it and fly across the map.
Yeah. I remember you telling me about that, and I was like, wait, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I didn't know you can do it either until one of my squad mates, we were running around a formation of 4. He's like, I'll be right back, guys. Takes off.
Militarism. I must go to my people.
Yeah,
there's another interesting thing about this game, is that the game is fairly well populated whenever you want to play it, but also sometimes it will fill up with bots, but the AI is really good, so you can have a lot of fun playing these big maps. And if you even end up in a map that's nothing but a bunch of bots, eventually people will show up and start filling out the ranks. So you don't have to worry about it. It is available. As we said, it is early access. It is function over form. It is fun over finish right now, but they will get there. I believe in them. I think they'll get there. They've got the fun down, which is the hardest thing first. I talked about the Armored devs about what's important is getting the fun figured out first and then clean it up later. Rapid prototyping, baby. Zero Caliber, a game that we've been seeing ads about. People have been talking about it. Rage Sack was
It's on
actually in
Reddit.
the closed alpha. I do believe the game is supposed to be just a story game with co-op. We saw some interesting moments. I believe that was the game where we saw like a GIF where the guy reaches out and grabs like a helicopter skid and starts shooting at people. And every shot from this game looks beautiful. It's a very pretty game. It's using the Unreal Engine. Do you have any thoughts of it? Had you a chance to try it out?
I have literally not played this game at all either. But I have played its similarly named brother, which we're talking about next.
Okay, well, that would be the last game. Let's talk about Zero Caliber. So the hands could use a little work, but other
In
than
a
that,
world where gun attachments are literally everywhere.
yeah. Well, I mean, it is fun to do in VR to be able to put your own gun attachments on. So I get why they wanted to do that and go with the co-op game because there wasn't really any co-op games out there. So and well for VR FPS, so it makes sense. Although they're going to add PvP later in next year,
That
is
I'm
what they're
looking
aiming for. So it'll be fun. I think this will be a fun game for you to play with friends if you have like a couple VR rigs, or even if you have one VR rig, just to put them in like a game where they could play like their own sort of closest you can get to something like Splinter Cell or what have you. We have this FPS single player game, which a lot of people miss those, and EA is like they're not doing it anymore, right?
Raw Data was the last good one.
Yeah.
That off the top of my head.
Yep. So Zero Killed is the last game on our list, and Nikki claims to know something about this game because I do not.
Oh yeah, slightly. I mean, I wasn't able to actually play a full match with people, but I did mess around in it a little bit. This game is like, we talk a lot about Firewall, which me and PooNanners don't play. We have played, but we don't play anymore because it's exclusively to PSVR.
Yeah, PSVR, yeah.
This is pretty much the PC version of that with tactical team-based combat, small teams, and objective-based rather than like big War Dust style combat. So this is your tactical, more military sim, teamworky shooter.
Yeah, from the trailer, I noticed that it looked like Firewall a bit. So let's take a look at that.
Peggy 16.
On your mark.
So another game that is in early access, as a matter of fact, we'll have those links down there as well. So you can check it out and be able to get a part of that game. It does look professionally made, very pretty game. The IK leaves a little bit to be desired. People still figuring out the best practices on that. I do believe the best IK you're going to see is obviously an Echo, but the upcoming Stormlands is really going to blow some minds.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, man. The fact that they could track your feet. I step left, and there are no trackers on my feet, but my feet did what they did in real life.
Yeah.
The fact that it understands the human body that well is absolutely bananas.
So, like, before any of OC5 started, we got to check some stuff out, and Nightfire. He put on the headset and he was in Stormlands and he was just staring at his feet as he moved left and right. And he was like,
I did the same thing.
How? And I grabbed Tim. I was like, Tim, tell him how you did that. And Tim's like, actually, it's this guy.
It's absolute insanity what they're doing for Stormlands, which is another shooter, but we don't have anything to say about that because all we saw is OC5.
It's also single player, so it's not going to be one of those like FPSs that might end up turning into a competitive game. All these games, even the one that has a single player co-op, they're going to add a PvP. So that's what we're covering right now is games that might have a potential of becoming a VR esport, which is what we cover here at V Respawn. Trying to keep you guys informed, see which games you want to get in and kind of place your bets of what game you want to start learning early on, because it is about how much time you put into the game. And I was speaking of things that are coming up. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about just briefly while we're here, talking about VR and VR esports, is it's common for a lot of these game companies that are coming out, and we even saw Oculus Studios try this, where they would market to current esport fans, and the current esport fans do nothing but trash on VR games. Mostly
they just want to play
because
Fortnite.
They understand it. I have a conversation. I want to get into that one. That's the younger ones. The older ones, they just like go trash it. They're like, oh, it's not esports or it's not esport ready, blah blah. But really, they're just hating, and don't waste your time marketing to them. You want to get the people who haven't made up their mind yet, and then the other guys will come along. But there's a lot of fun to be had, and whenever they get a chance to try it, they try it. It's these guys. They'll either never tried it. They say they'll never try it, or they'll claim they tried it and they never have, because once you try it, you're hooked. But one of the conversations I had, I was recently at an event and was talking to some kids, and these kids are like, what games do you play? And I know they just want to ask me how good I am at Fortnite, because that's how kids are these days.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, I
good,
don't play Fortnite. I play nothing but VR games. And so I told them I play VR games now, VR esport games. And they're like, what is that? And they kind of blew off the idea. And I was like, wait, it's funny that you say that. But it's like, and I looked at him, I was like, you guys are fans of Fortnite, right? Oh, yeah, I love Fortnite, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I don't have a limited number of dances that I can do in VR games. I can literally do any one I want. If I want to get on the ground,
that's true.
and like do a break dance, I can. I can do anything I want.
Dancing and emotes in microtransactions. I mean, Echo Combat does a thing where you unlock and then you tap your headset. And does something. Other than that, you can't stop us from dancing or emoting. Those are not
that was one thing, and that kind of piqued their interest a little bit, but they weren't that much. And so then I gave them a moment. And I'll share this moment with you here. And I think Kyle will be cool with this. But it was when I was playing with you, Nikki, if you remember. We were playing around. We were working together. And there was a guy that we just landed, which is a concept that these kids get. Playing with your friends in Fortnite, right? You just landed, so you're trying to scavenge and get stuff, and you don't have a lot of stuff. And then some asshole lands on a roof and starts sniping your team, right? And you guys were taking fire. And you're like, we're getting sniped. What's going on? And I yelled over to you. I was like, hold on, keep them pinned, right? And that was the last thing I said. I explained to these kids, because this game has positional audio. When I talk, he knows where I am. And what I did was I was able to grab one gun, a legendary revolver, which is language that they also understand from Fortnite. And I was like, but that's all I had and a handful of bullets. So I climbed the building. So they're like, wait, you can climb? I was like, yeah, you physically climb with your hands and you can fly on stuff. And I climbed, slowly crept up to him so he couldn't hear me. I put the gun right up to his head and I said, hey, and he turns around and blew his head off. Yeah. And I was like, that's, and that moment though, their eyes just went like this. And I was like, yeah, buddy, now they're getting it. You got to use their language, frame it for something they get, and they understand that's going to be fun. And, games like that, I mean, I don't know if Pop 1 will be available on the Quest, but the Quest is really going to take off for a lot of people, especially
yeah, that's when you're like, hey, you think it's dumb? All right, here you go. Try it out. You got one on me right now.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole fact that the device itself is also mobile, and mobile market is the one that's taking off. So you're combining a lot of those different things that you need. So if you could play Population 1, basically a VR version of Fortnite in VR for real, do whatever dance you want. Especially if you can get that IK very similar to what you have in Stormlands, so you can really forget your floss on. Then we'd be good to go, right?
Oh, yeah. Top one. Gonna save VR world.
Yeah, man. I really high hopes on this list for Population 1 and Echo Combat.
Well, in the comments below, let us know what game you like.
Yes, comment, comment, like, and subscribe. But yes, thanks to everybody who helped us out here. Sonia Haskins, our lead bruiser, bringing us those videos that we needed. Chris A. Brown, our producer, it actually says producer. I keep forgetting to change it. He produced the entire episode all by himself and wrote it and got all the information that we needed. And then obviously Stealth and myself just yapping on the mic. We're doing the easy part, putting it all together here. It's a group project, as we always say. You just pitch in, let us know what you want to do. If you want to take part in the show, you have something you want to do for us, you want to get out there, we'll give you the shout outs. We'll include you in here. We're still trying to build ourselves an Echo VR show. So anybody who wants to take part in that, wants to be on camera, wants to do little like blurbs about like Echo University, whatever it is, reach out to us, man. We are ready to rock and roll. What do you got to say, Stealth?
I like Echo Combat a lot.
I like it. I think we can do that all day long.